So we're finishing up the session now with a panel. So if you're on the panel, can you come up now? Which is going to be looking at a subject which I guess has sort of kept Twitter pretty hot over the last few months, which is looking around sort of the negative hype around NFTs. Sort of those in the space and have been for a while are sort of quite just sort of treat them sort of quite an inherent part of digital goods. Clearly, not everyone does that, so it's good to get a sort of a discussion around that. And I think particularly at the moment, I think NFTs are seen as very specific sort of things. They're these sort of things you might put on Twitter, and they go for enormous amounts of money, which seems very weird to many people. But I think as NFTs come into games in more general, we potentially will see that everyone who plays a game owns an NFT because every game will have sort of an NFT in there, and I guess we're seeing that with Ubisoft and its approach. Have we got all the panelists? Are we expecting some more?
We're missing one, I think.
We're missing one?
Oh, there. Yeah.
Okay, so Kim's going to take charge. I shall leave it to you, really.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good. Okay.
Fine. Okay, we're running a few minutes late, but we want our 40 minutes in limelight, so please stick around. So my name is Kim Soares. If we do these sort of introductions first, I'm CEO and founder of Social First, which is a company fresh out of the oven. Like we announced the company just a few weeks ago, backed by Play Ventures, and doing social cross-platform games and tipping our toes into NFTs as well. And next one, we have Bozena.
Hi.
Is the mic on?
Let's try. Hi.
So do you want to just short introduction?
Totally. My name is Bozena. I'm CEO and co-founder of GAMEE. We're in mobile gaming industry for 8 years now, and 2 years ago we started looking into how can we take our platform and large global gaming community to a next level, and started looking into blockchain NFTs. And now we have a couple products live that are mobile, powered by blockchain.
Hi, my name is Nick Sadler. I'm the founder of First Flights, and it's a development company for films, part of the Goldfinch group. So I'm not a game developer as such, but we have been working with Epic Games, taking their games IP and turning them into feature films. And last month we launched a crypto-powered crowdfunding platform for films that rewards the patrons with NFTs. And we had our first successful raise with Stephen Graves, The Dead of Winter. So my world's kind of combined those two areas, and I've got a PlayStation and spend plenty of hours on Witcher 3 and RD2 as well.
And you have a record label of your own, so if anyone has a demo of the band, they can just give it to you?
Yes. I own a couple of record labels as well, so if you've got any music as well, yeah, sure, come and talk to me about that.
Hi, everyone. Is this work? No? Test. Okay. Hi, I'm Tsahi Liberman from Israel. I'm currently the founder of WAGME2, which is a blockchain and metaverse consultancy. And I also own a game studio in Canada, developing PC games and console games. I'm ex-head of game design and data for Lightneer, is still based in Helsinki. I'm a gamer, used to be a professional gamer on Dota, plays all the time, and trying to see this fine line between being a gamer, hardcore gamer, and getting into those worlds where you can use blockchain and NFTs and see how these mutually survive together. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Sean Kauppinen. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer, don't ask what that is, at a company called Hiber, and we're building an open metaverse platform where anybody can basically build a virtual world with the interoperability, bring in the NFTs and everything else. Been in the game industry for 27 years, so I've been through every business model, including some that never worked and some that will work. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, so esteemed panel here. I would like to start with a raise of hands. So how many gamers are here in this room? And I suppose this would be an easy one. So how many gamers who play games? We are at Pocket Gamer. So no, keep your hands up, please. So how many of you gamers see yourselves playing some games with NFTs in them in, say, next 2 years? Most of the hands stayed up. So, I don't know, can we just close the panel because we already showed it to them. But no, so the panel is how to kind of like make them appealable to ordinary gamers. So kind of like short question, why shouldn't a game development company do NFT games? Like few sentences. What's like holding people back right now?
Yeah. So I think the question is not about how do we sell NFTs to gamers, because NFTs don't mean anything by itself, right? It's like the tech is just technology, and it matters how we use it, what we do with it. And maybe I'll come back to an example we had 2 years ago. We had a large global community, people playing casual games on mobile phones, and I got really excited about NFTs and cryptocurrencies and everything. And I was pitching my team, this is the future, we're going to do this, and they were looking at me like, are you okay? And we started thinking about what is really the motivation, what is the incentive, like why does that matter for people who play our games? And then we started looking into some principles that, you said 2 sentences, right?
Sorry?
You said 2 sentences.
Yeah, but that's like, we count that as one, so you have one other to go.
So we have seen, okay, so we have a game currency people earn and they spend it in some way. We have mechanisms how people can decide and vote what the new games are coming. So there is a feedback loop. There are game characters and skins, and we have a community that has stayed with us across hyper-casual games because we built a gamification layer across. Now, we had these elements before blockchain, and I started looking into it. Can we use this tech to take this to a next level and make that more real? So when I say this game currency is yours and you can take it from one game to another, can we make that more real? Yeah, and we did it. So it was not about how do I sell NFTs to gamers. It was about what works and what people seem to enjoy. And is there a way how to make the proposition stronger? So that was a very first step we did. That's the end of my 2 sentences.
Okay. Well, one thing that you had there is that kind of like you talked about this to your developers, and they were like looking at you as a crazy person, like why? And what do you guys think, Nick, for example, like why shouldn't game developers go ahead and do NFT games? What's holding them back?
For us, because I've just been through this for the last 6 weeks but from our point of view is how do we take people that love films, that want to invest in a film, be getting rewarded with NFTs, but they don't know anything about like cryptocurrency or NFTs. And that was a huge challenge for us because unless you own a digital wallet, then you've got to go through, I think last count there was 42 steps. If I was to go, if I called up my mum and be like, hey mum, we've got this great film, I want you to invest in it. And she's like, cool son, what do I need to do? There were like 42 things to do because she had to get a MetaMask wallet. So she had to set up that, and then she had to get money into the wallet. And then we were doing it on the Polygon network because we wanted to keep low gas fees, etc. So then she had to buy Matter. It was this long thing. And unbelievably, like it was a success, and we got enough people on board, and there were people willing to go through those steps. But that is a huge barrier at the moment. And I think someone asked me earlier, like, what do you recommend I do as a small games developer? And I just said, nothing. Wait a year, let all the big guys kind of like figure out all the problems and like maybe align stuff up. Yeah, that's my kind of take on it at the moment.
Okay, what about Tsahi? I mean, you are consulting companies on this, so you should have the answers.
Yeah, so I hope I have the answers. So you know, from our conversation with gamers and gamers community, of course, the community lies a very vast factor here, and you need to do those moves with them and understand not just what they want, but also what they need, working with them together. So aside from security and the technology, which is a barrier, and setting up a wallet and doing all that long process, first of all, we have to understand that those gamers are not financial beasts. They have no idea about those financial steps that they are taking, what is perpetual swap. So it's our obligation to also code those elements in as a gaming elements or gaming mechanics and make that easier for them to understand. But also, I think one of the top priorities for gamers is, of course, it's having fun in a game, but also see how those NFTs are giving me in-depth value and longevity in the game moving forward in the next 6 months or a year, And I'll just give you an example. So one of the games that I'm advising with, it's a game invested by the Terra Network. And those guys, actually, we wrote together a lore book, which is like 400 pages. And we want those players to move through that world, understand that sci-fi world, and choose a faction. And there's like every 2 weeks, there's a meteor shower. You get that meteor, you crack it, and you get a dust. The dust is an NFT. And then you empower with that dust different element, different structures in your game, different troops. So you actually, the community is moving forward with that evolution of that NFT that is exposing different properties and is changing as we see. So I own something which is growing with me as a player according to my skill and time invested. And then I can use that dust to crack an egg and get a dragon. So that dragon also evolved with me, and it's another NFT. So NFTs are also part of our story. So one way we want to tell that story is that you also, by scouting that world, you collect pages, or you discover pages, and you collect them and eventually read through that narrative of that world. So in my view, as a gamer, I would like the excitement of first competition, what we do with different factions. And secondly, tie this up. It's not just an image. It's something else. We have to tie it into more real-world value for gamers. So for example, VFriends is doing that. You can get a membership, a lifetime membership for a VIP club. And then for me as a gamer, I would love if I'll have like a battle pass forever that grows with me and let me have exclusive entrance to specific areas in the game that are unlockable because I'm devoted to using that NFT.
Yeah. What about Sean?
I'm going to take a higher level 2-sentence view.
Yep.
The first one is, why shouldn't you do it? Well, if you're doing it for a cash grab because you think it's a good way to make money, it's a bad motivation and it won't work. You need to be focused on player utility and making sure that you're aligned with what your players want, not your users, let's call them players. The people in your community, they matter and their opinion matters, and they have to feel that you're doing this for the right reason. So when free-to-play came, this is a cash grab, everyone's just trying to do play to win, and it unbalances communities. You have to look at it and say, how are they going to accept this? What does it add? And how do we include people? So it can't be all the NFTs are $5,000 because it's really easy to print 10 of those or make 10 of those. It should be approachable.
Okay, so Sean, I mean, like following up on that, do you see, I mean, people, crypto bros buying ugly ape JPEGs, nobody's buying those for art. I mean, okay, maybe someone considers them as art, at least they're a cultural phenomenon, but most people are buying them as an investment in hopes of that the value will rise somehow. How do you see in games, like, is it like, because my take is that in games you should buy NFTs or get NFTs and then maybe sell them because they give you utility value in the game. Not just like an image, but a sword that has magical abilities or whatever, or playing card game, you have a powerful card, you might not need it anymore, so you want to sell it. So how do you see that kind of like, how NFTs could give value, added value to players? Because I think that's the only way for us as game developers to kind of like break the barrier and make the gaming community embrace them.
I'd say, why do people buy characters in League of Legends? They buy it because it's something that they identify with, they want to use it, and maybe they've tried it first, but they identify with it, and they say, this is something that represents my play style, what I want to be in this world, in this game. That's why you should do it. There's a lot of speculation and investors coming into the space, and this is, if you go back, this is how we all felt when Zynga came into the space, like, oh, internet people are going to come in and they're going to screw stuff up, and it's all going to be totally data and metric driven, and it's not going to be about creating fun games anymore. It's going to be about building playable business models. And I think that's what we have to merge those, because when you get good game designers and good game developers versus crypto people making games, that's never going to work, you're going to get something better.
Okay, so on that note, question for you. Why do you think that, because what Sean said, I mean, but some people, especially gamers, I'd say, and some game developers as well, are quite hostile towards kind of like, if you suggest that, okay, let's make an NFT game or blockchain game. So how do you kind of like, how do you see that, where does that come from?
I think it comes from maybe misunderstanding, and so it's not put well. Let's say it this way. So for me, blockchain or NFTs is on one hand side is tech, that it can really, like, we can really prove this belongs to you. People or gamers had game characters before. They belong to them, right? We didn't really say, I'm just rendering this to you on your display. Like, we didn't really think about that before. But now when we're saying, okay, there is a proof of ownership, it belongs to you, so it gives you some property rights, people start thinking differently, and this is the mindset part. So they start thinking differently. Oh, this is my property, so I can, like, it has some value. I can check externally what is the value. So the market can tell me the value, and I can take the thing that's mine, maybe outside of this game ecosystem, to some other, whether that's an exchange or marketplace or a different game. It doesn't really matter. But here the mindset matters a lot. So, and when you take this new concept, it's like openness, it has value, transferable. And you try to paste it into an existing game that has different, maybe rules, culture, community, understanding. It could cause some shockwaves. So I just think it's the way how it's put. And designing games with this ownership and digital property rights in mind requires different, maybe game design, thinking, mindset, or even behavior, or even how the company that's doing it is set. We have, for example, introduced cryptocurrency
Yes.
that's behind several of our titles. And overnight, introducing this currency, we turned from a private company into a public company. Overnight. I was not ready for that. And I was really surprised what is the level of engagement, requirements on transparency, involving people into what we do, whether we change something, whether we even A/B test. It's very different, and it's just the mindset. Like, they have a game character, they had it before, but now there is this proof of ownership on chain.
Yeah, it can change the view of it. Yeah.
Massively.
I'm so surprised that that you had that statement that gamers are like not wanting to get into NFTs, because I was like, isn't there a lot of games where people like build up characters and then sell them on eBay? So I was like, isn't this better?
I mean, to me, it's quite
obvious.
To me, it's quite obvious
right.
that it's just like evolving that. But there is a pushback. I mean, nobody can deny. I mean, whenever a large game company like, I don't know, Square Enix, Ubisoft puts their head out saying NFT, it's like, whew, and people, they are like, if something openly hostile, many of them. So, but I mean, question for you, coming from or having background in like music and films, you maybe mentioned something about financing those or funding those. Do you see that these kind of like making NFT drops or token sales where you can raise 1 million, 10 million, whatever? Do you see that could change the financing industry or financing field for music or games or film?
Yeah, 100%. So I think the best thing is that if I'm a fan of, if you release an album and I'm like, I'm going to buy Kim's new album because I love him and I love your music.
Woo! Yeah.
You can say, great, I'm going to create 1,000 NFTs for $100 each, which is going to give you $100,000 to go and do an album, do a tour, do an amazing 3D concert tour. But when it sells, you can say, I will, when the royalties come back through, I'm going to share 50% of those royalties with all of you guys. So if it does well, you will share in that. Now, you could theoretically do that today by getting everybody's PayPal address, but like the overheads of doing that just doesn't work. But with blockchain technology, it does, because it's already kind of set up. And that's like, being able to share in the revenue is huge. And there's a lot of companies in the music space that are doing that now. And similarly, you can do that in the film world as well. And I think using blockchains and NFTs to solve those kind of problems is what we're really interested in, rather than just making some NFTs, shilling them off, and
hard
money.
question for Tsahi next. So how do you see? I mean, if you tell someone that okay, we're making a blockchain game, and the person goes that okay, I mean, you are making the planet burn, you are killing baby seals because of Bitcoin and all of that, and that there is like, it's not on black and white, so there is like issues there. But how would you kind of like tell that person that no, it's like okay, it's positive for you, it's not killing the planet. There are different blockchains. I mean, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'll refer in a way for what Nick was mentioning. I'll give 3 examples. So one of them about art. So there's an interesting art exhibition that is empowered by blockchain, and people are acquiring NFTs just to unlock different artists where they never would have met before. And that I see NFT all across my example as actually a key card or some entrance to unlock. In that example, it unlocks like a special cell that I can learn more and interact more with that art exhibition or art of that person, where in normal situation I would just go to him and speak with him for several sentences, but I wouldn't really understand the vision behind that and the interactivity of actually playing and changing the art piece. Mm-hmm. So that opens up new possibilities for us as creators or even viewers. The second example is you speak about the climate, and I would not go into that debate whether it's use more energy or not, but there's also interesting projects which are based on carbon negative networks like Celo and others, but are also directly affecting the climate change. And one example is Zeets. I don't know if you guys know that project, where you can actually own an NFT of a creature, and then you can play with it, and then you can actually, the plants are get something in reality, get a bag of seeds and plant it somewhere. So that is like, okay, I own something in the digital space, but I'm actually going to plant something in the physical space, or at least have the opportunity to make our planet a better place. Third example is, I mentioned NFT for me is a key card. So when you speak to a large part of the NFT collections, they are also trying to build games around the NFT collections, but more importantly, it's interesting for a player, for a gamer, to use that key card on different game communities. So what we did in one of the games is we have a game where we are owning a planet, but then we can open up a gate and invite different communities to invade our planet. So we did that with Galactic Punks, and you connect two on the same theme, right? Both are space. We connected those two communities together that own NFTs, but they can use their own NFTs in each other's community. So that creates a clash between different communities, and that is highly interesting. Last example.
That's all. I mean, Sean is getting itchy, so I would.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So,
I have no idea what the question was.
Go ahead. I will not
killing
talk
baby seals or something? I don't know. What's the question?
the question was, okay, so because I mean, people do see NFTs as part of blockchain. Well, they are part of blockchain. So and Bitcoin is using a lot of energy. So
Bitcoin's different. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's a store of
but
value.
that's what people, when you tell them.
Blockchain is actually a useful technology to build things up.
But how would you explain that? Because when you say if I tell my gamer friends that we are making NFT game, they are saying okay.
Oh, it's Bitcoin.
Yeah. So how would you explain that?
I think there's a massive education piece that needs to happen out there, and it's we as the game industry are not going to solve that. It's going to have to be multiple industries coming together to kind of point out like this is a store of value, an economic thing over here. NFTs can be stores of value, but they're built off of a useful technology that we can utilize to fight piracy, prove ownership for musicians and artists, and provide additional utility to users. I mean, you were talking about creating characters, avatars, building them up. I worked on EverQuest. We used to have people selling those. It was against the user terms, and it pissed the community off because they're like, oh, someone came and bought a level 70 rogue and they don't know how to play it. Well, they don't have the time. Somebody wants to put their money in, cool.
And they sold it in black market, basically.
They sold it in black market. Brock Pierce actually was solving it with his pre-crypto stuff. He was the #1 enemy.
But this would give people actual market, like legitimate market, to sell their characters or whatever.
They lacked a market, so they were building these black markets to go and transfer these things. It proved that people want to be able to transfer ownership, and it proved that there's a market for people who want to build stuff up for others. That play to earns happened a long time. It just got coined recently to be related to what people are doing with crypto-based games.
So, I mean, follow up to that. I mean, some people say that NFT games or blockchain games, they don't solve any problem. And whenever you have something new, it should solve a problem. And if it doesn't, then you're just like, I don't know, making things worse at the best. So, but is that the problem that NFT gaming or blockchain gaming is solving, like people selling their assets in a legitimate environment?
It provides liquidity to people who might like to have that. So I have a couple examples of games that I played over the years from like Playdom and EA. They built these large online canvas, Facebook canvas games, and you'd play it and they'd, okay, we're not gonna operate this anymore. Well, I have $600 worth of in-game currency that I paid for. You're shutting it down, it doesn't exist. Well, the company still exists. Why can't I use that in a different game? Why can't I move it to something else? And I remember sending a very nasty email as a player, not as somebody in the industry, to, I think it was John Pleasance, saying, hey, what the hell's wrong with you guys? You've screwed this up. You have an opportunity to take someone in your community, move them to another game that you run for the next 5 years or 10 years, who's actually a whale. I spend more money than anybody on free-to-play games. I mean, everybody's in the room combined, probably like half of what I spent. I mean, I'm like,
Bold
you want
statement,
me,
but
and
okay,
they upset me, and of course I tell everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so okay, spending money. That gives me a segue of play to earn. I myself like to talk more about play and earn. So just an example, if I play Diablo Resurrected with my friends, and they post our WhatsApp group every day that, okay, I got this drop and this drop and this drop, like helmet, sword, axe, whatever. And those are all in-game items. But if they would be, I don't know, every once in a while I get an axe that is like, I don't know, $50 in value if I sell it. That's, for me, as a Western gamer, kind of like added value, play and earn. I can maybe earn $50 here and there if I want to. But it's not like digital sweatshop for some kid in some poor country with no shoes, playing 10 hours a day to kind of like grind currency, NFT currency for some like guy in Europe or whatever. So how do you guys see that? Like play and earn, play to earn, kind of like this whole industry of people. How do you see that? Is that kind of like the way to go or not?
So I think it relates nicely to your previous question as well about then. One of the takes how you can look at it is that NFTs and blockchain enable different game economies that distribute the value differently than without in a way that you can rely on it and it's secure. I'll give you an example. Normally, as a free-to-play whale, you pay your dollars to the game developer and they design the game, right? In play and earn, you create a game, but part of the value is transferred onto the community. So that when somebody earns something in that game with their skill, time, effort, they have the freedom and the right to offer that to the community. So this is how the value is distributed more within the community. It's more decentralized, and then blockchain enables that it can be looked at as play and earn. It's not meant to be purely like I go to this game, I click and I get something. It's more thinking about, is there a different game economy than there was before? How do we design a game with this in mind, that people will own what they earn and what they will decide to do with it? It's not only about the trade itself, that they will offer this sword or character to another player that wants to save time. It's that, but not only. It turns people into entrepreneurs because they're looking into, I have something some other people may want. Is there even any type of service I can offer around it? For example, can I organize gamers in gaming guilds to have a sports team, right, playing the game? Is there this game, for example, offers breeding functionality of the characters. So there are even companies that organize themselves about data analytics. They breed the characters for others.
Can I interrupt? Yeah. I can because I'm the host. So you mentioned people kind of like offering their services in the game. So, but then it's more work than a game. So. Well,
is it though? So I think that we don't really know, right?
Yeah.
So we have a new tech and we have new game genres popping up. We name them somehow, but maybe that name will become irrelevant. So we don't really know where this takes us, but that's the exciting part. Because there might be completely new genres, game economies, blurs between game, finance, education popping up, and that's the exciting part. It's like the exciting part is not about taking the new tech and pasting it into existing games. It's like fine, it can lift it a bit. Yeah, but the exciting part is what is it that we create? It was not possible before.
So Tsahi was kind of like already.
Yeah,
so what do you think?
First of all, playing World of Warcraft and investing 18, 15 hours a day, I would love if somebody would pay me for my skill and the time that I invested. It's a good added value. I don't play the game to make money. One of the platforms I work with actually rewarded players with, or gamers with the genres items that we love to get. So I get a hat, I get a computer part or something like that. So it was a nice added value. And in a way, it's a work. It depends how high-end level you're playing the game. So, you know, leading a guild and leading a raid every day and taking care of your officers. So if that guild have 500 people in it, it's a work. It's a fun work. But in a way, it's something that you do for a very long period of time. And I think it's. I wanted to add another thing about the community and, you know, how it affects the game. So one of the games that we were involved, we are speaking about how do we explain that to gamers. So we have it's a medieval game, so we created like a tavern or a round table where we take those vocal players in the community and they all sit together and they have the veto of the community to say, hey, these are our decisions, so let's drive that game design forward and decide together what is important for us as a community and see the value of those NFTs moving forward. So in my view, that's also an interesting, you know, way to take decisions.
As a game designer myself, I see problem there if the game is only play to earn, because then people who play it to earn will immediately move to some other game which offers more dollars per hour. But Nick, do you have any take on this play to earn, play and earn, just play for fun?
Well, actually, I just wanted to ask anybody here on the panel, if someone can explain to me how Axie Affinity, I think that's the name of the game, we play to, how if some kid in the Philippines can spend all these hours, where that money comes from, like how does the mechanics of the money being generated get back to him?
Well, you have heard about this scholarship. So, like a guy like you could afford like spending $1,000 on 3 Axies, and then you kind of like lease them out to some kid who plays them for you, and you take 50% of what he earns basically. And he.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah.
Sweatshops. Digital sweatshop.
And then what do I do with it once I get it back?
Well, you can sell the half of the NFTs that he gives you as your kind of like take.
Ah, so it's maybe a little bit morally corrupt, maybe?
Evil.
But I mean, that would be interesting discussion as well. I mean, some people would view that as kind of like opportunities for people in poorer countries to make $20 a day, which is like above average salary even there. But yeah, there is like ethical issues, I think, as well. How much time do we have? Like 10 minutes maybe?
5.
Oh, we have a timer there, okay. So is that 5 minutes for the questions as well?
Yeah, 5 minutes for your chat and then a few minutes for questions.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes. Okay, that's good. So, okay, now that we explained it to you, are you gonna invest $1,000 to 3 Axies and then have someone play them for you?
No, but I am trying to think of how we could use that in film and music. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I do just want to add what you were saying about how NFTs do give a key. Like something we've had with the new film is if you own the logo NFT, that gives you access to the Discord channel where once a month you can come on board in a room and actually pitch your film project to executive producers that we arrange, which is like incredibly valuable for filmmakers. So I think that key thing is really cool. And again, the education which you mentioned, I think is massive. Like we spent a lot of time educating, did like 3 days of webinars to try and get everybody on board. We're kind of just taking the initiative of doing it. Maybe there's somebody else that kind of can do that for us. But yeah, I think those 2 parts are really important if we are going to be able to embrace some of those ideas.
In a way, I don't agree that it's not our responsibility as game designers. And
I didn't say it wasn't a responsibility. I said we're not going to solve it.
I think in a way we do, because it's our responsibility to code this in a gamified way and understand that to players and chop it up into small bits of information, because that's also it's our responsibility to explain to them. Maybe it's financial education that is missing from schools probably, and it's important to show them how they can use that to their benefit. And what you were mentioning about the films. So I've seen several projects which are using that, some kind similar to Black Mirror, where if I hold that key or NFT, I can actually expose another semi-plot line or another scene in the movie that other viewers are not watching. So I have that exclusive key or exposure of some content that I can use that to brag. It's essentially a bragging rights.
So, Bozena, how do you see the kind of like timeline going forward? Like, is it like in 2 years' time, most of the games that are coming out will have NFTs, be there like indie games or games from Ubisoft, or will it be like as commonplace as ads in games or free to play in one way or shape or form in the next few years? And will it take 1 year or 10 years or something between?
Well, that's
Look into your crystal ball.
Sounds a rough timeline.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think it's already happening. I cannot say most of the games, but at least the principles that we have described here, we're actually using right now in our mobile gaming apps, and they're used by 500,000 monthly active gamers.
Is there stopping it? You said it's happening, so
it's happening. It's happening. It's now. So we're speaking about future, whether this is the direction the industry is going to go. Majority of the industry, I don't know, but it's already happening. And I think the interesting part is that you don't know enough until you put your hands on it. Like, we can do really many theories about how the metaverse and everything is going to evolve. we just have to see, and it's an incredible creative canvas that not only game developers but also communities can chip in and see how, like, which direction we want to take it really. Whether this is going to take 12 months with the speed of crypto space, or 2 years or 5, I don't know, but it doesn't really matter for me at this point. For me, it matters that we can test it already. It already works. We can see what the community thinks about it, how it responds, and what are the new stuff that we can create that we couldn't before.
So, Sean, I mean, you said to Tsahi that we can't solve it, the issues that are there, but we do have the responsibility. But as Bozena said, it's happening, so there's no stopping it anymore. Do you agree? And
just like there are subscription business models still in place, there are free-to-play business models in place, there are paid, you can still go to a store and buy a physical disc and put it in your PlayStation. The models can coexist. And I think the key to this, and if we look at the topic, new NFT economies, we have to think two things. One, any game that's using this type of economy is online. It has to be connected. So that in itself is exclusionary to part of the population who don't have a constant,
always online,
online access. And the second part, so there'll be casual games. There'll be a lot of things that people can work on and play that are not online. And then the other part of it is it an inclusive economy? Because if you're just setting up a game just for whales, that's not scalable in any way.
Yeah, it's not even good business, I would say, as a game developer. So we are end of time for the actual panel. So any questions from the audience? There's at least one.
Hey, thank you so much for doing this again. As an investor who completely believes in the platform shift, there's a lot of noise in the market right now. A lot of people moving towards NFT gaming or GameFi, however you define it. How, given your experience and your network in the industry, how can we better judge who are the founders more likely to succeed in the space?
I can actually...
Short answer, please.
Short answer, oh man. So the short answer is we are living in an unknown period, right? We are still writing that playbook for what it is to create a good game / metaverse that involves NFTs. And we can only wait. I think 2022 will be the the year for that to, follow projects like Illuvium, which is doing really great, and also testing different features with the Illuvium Zero, which is a mobile game that is helping, design the bigger game, which is for PC. Really strong team. That's something that you need to look into, how their relationship with the community, the vision, the in-depth gameplay. So that's one. Big Time is also a really strong team and a nice project to follow. So those will pave the way for many other developers that will try to ride on that, and you would see, we already see many scammy or self-sufficient or not self-sufficient games dropping down. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah, so big companies kind of like paving the way for the.
Not necessarily big companies, because there are smaller companies which are trying.
Okay, yeah.
But let's try to see the innovation and side by side how they manage to either secure or get the community on the side and devote it to that.
There was, okay, sorry, yeah.
I had a very different answer. As an investor, due diligence into the team. Who are they? What have they built before? Do they deliver product? There are so many projects that have raised money off of a token that will never make it to market.
And they have never made any games.
Exactly, they've never made a game before, but it's this awesome speculative space and people put money in. Do your due diligence on the team, find out what they delivered, and find out their reputations.
Yeah, you can look me up in the system and just give me an invite. We can talk later. But there was another question there.
Hi, my question is directed to Bozena. So in a hyper-casual space and having, I assume you have NFTs in already incorporated across your games, to making them appealing to the audience, do you have like a community across all the different hyper-casual games that the same players are going to, or do you have like utilities or like properties of those NFTs that apply to each individual hyper-casual game?
Yeah, both. we have a platform play, or we connect the hyper-casual games to the platform that's gamified and that's using the GAMEE token as a reward and access currency, purchase reward access. And some of the games support NFTs, not all of them. These are game characters that we launched before the game, which is kind of a reverse game design process. As we'll introduce the game characters, they have multiple stats, they're upgradable, breedable, you can do different things with them. And then we started launching different games that support them to test, like, how can you actually take it from one type of game into another. And yeah, this is work in progress as we're stepping into like deeper and deeper games with each iteration. So both. What matters is that it doesn't make sense to launch a token for every single hyper-casual game, because to make the promise true, that you can take the currency and you can swap it for something else, for different gaming currency, or even for fiat if you want to, it has to be listed, it needs some support, it's not that easy work. It needs some serious like time and financial investment. So it doesn't really make sense to have that for every single hyper-casual game that have quite short shelf life.
So do you mean if you had multiple games in your own portfolio, you would have like like one token or one?
Yes, that's how it works. Yeah.
Across the board. Yeah.
Can I add quickly on that? Someone has been working on hyper-casual games with Voodoo and with other top 5 publishers. So first of all, it's a mass market, right? It's that could be like a 10-year-old and an 80-year-old playing that specific game. So on top of what you mentioned, look up. I see the rise of platforms which are actually connecting different hyper-casual experiences. So you can play 3 levels here, 5 levels here, 6 levels there, and that's a platform that's creating for you the huge experience, and you can move NFTs in between them. So that is interesting to look on platforms like Hype, which is doing very well in Finland, or other platforms which are trying to connect that experience as one wave, one river of gameplay. Yeah. Then that could be interesting.
And the fun part is not only taking your own NFTs from one game to another, but also looking into partner companies, right? Like, can you take your token into there, make their utility, can you take their NFTs into yours? And since my company is within Animoca Brands group, there are plenty of companies to partner with, so this is something we're actively working with, and that is a great space, because you're not only looking into, I'm working as a publisher and this is my portfolio, here are Others is a walled garden. No, we're actually trying to go beyond and think bigger.
Yeah,
How can we interconnect? Because it's possible.
It's almost like marketing tool between games as well. So there was one question.
Thank you so much. Do
no
you
more
mind
questions?
if, well, we're now
Okay,
15
yeah,
minutes
we are over time. So
but are you open to questions from the audience if they want to stick around and pull you aside? Is that
that's fine.
available for you?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.